Hi folks, and welcome back to another Travels Red Rover. I'm Shawn.
And I'm Corinne.
And this is part 2 of our trip along the Rafael Swell, or the Utah BDR Section 4. And it is taking us longer to do this than we expected.
Yeah, we're finding lots of places to stop and get off the trail and look at interesting sights. So we've decided to split this up into 2 segments.
Yeah, it's been a lot of fun. And as I said, we've already spent 2 nights on the trail in part 1. And I don't know how many nights we'll spend on the trail today. It may be that we finish it today. It may be that we're spending another night on the trail. It just depends on how many interesting things there are to do.
It's gotten a lot hotter over the last 2 days. We started out in the mid-70s, low 70s, and today it's due to get up into the high 80s. So spending time in the car is nice. Walking out on trails, not so nice.
Not so much, no, yeah. Especially the trails here are all completely in the open, so you're walking in the intense sun. Right now we've come up to a place called the Wedge, and it's a beautiful view, definitely worth coming out. In fact, it's been some of the best four-wheel driving that we've had on the entire BDR. So it's if you're interested in that sort of thing, it's a great little side route.
So let's continue with our route.
Corinne and I had a late night doing some Milky Way photography, so we had a slow morning. Once we got up and got ourselves organized, we packed up the Jeep and headed back down the trail to go find our next adventure.
Well, we're close to the Wedge overlook. There's a little side overlook that's adjacent to it. And looking down here is the Buckhorn Wash. There's a number of campsites down there in that area. There's a bit of a stream running through there. You can make out the green vegetation where the stream goes through. And it continues zigzagging through this canyon out that way. We stopped at a little overlook to look down on the canyons here, and there's a little cul-de-sac where we parked, and a nice little trail has been developed going around the edge of the canyon, so you can get a view from several different perspectives out here. This side here is what's called the Goodwater Canyon. And along the rim, going around the canyon, are a number of hiking trails if you desire longer walks.
And here is another view of the canyon. As you can see, it's quite large and quite far apart. It has a nickname here, and it's called the Little Grand Canyon Overlook. And it's a pretty area to stop.
This is our second stop on the, third stop on the cutoff for the Wedge Overlook. And the first one was Goodwater Rim area, and then the Wedge. And this area here is known as the overlook of the Little Grand Canyon. A lot of really interesting geology in the area. Down at the bottom, where the green vegetation is, that's the San Rafael River. So after having done the Wedge Overlook, we've come out from that spur of the Utah BDR, and we just stopped at the Buckhorn Wash Visitor Center. And at the road here, there's an indication that you could go up this main road. It would take you to Highway 10, and Highway 10 is where the town of Castledale is located, and then you could continue further up to Cleveland. Or there's this side road you could take to Cleveland that's more direct. So there it also indicates the Wedge Overlook is to the left in 6 miles. from that sign I was showing you, here's the main road, and it would take you down to the lower part of the Buckhorn Wash down by the San Rafael River, and many of the spots that we showed from above when we were on the canyon rim. The Buckhorn Wash Visitor Center does have a spot where they could staff it, but it looks like it's closed currently. It gives you some information about the San Rafael Swell, its geology, and over here there's a wonderful map showing the swell in relation to other parts of Utah, such as Green River to the east and Castledale to the west. There's also some other displays around the building that tell you other features you can go and visit, so you can have a good overview of the area and what's also in the vicinity.
We were up early the next day, feeling much more refreshed, and heading out for another fun day on a trail and a special stop that we were looking forward to. But before we got to our special stop, we needed to put a few trail miles on.
We've arrived at the Cleveland-Lloyd Dinosaur Quarry, and we are going to do a checkout of the visitor center that's here, and there might also be a short walking trail according to the map down here. I think they actually have a quarry where you can go down and see where the dinosaur bones were extracted.
Floating carcass got stuck, got buried, bones. Whereas we're later confident that separate streams have actually dumped the bones into it and they spread out delta style. 12,000 bones in the excavating here.
This is a actual bone that you can come in and touch at the Jurassic National Monument. It's been wrapped in a white plaster cast to preserve it, but the brown area is an actual dinosaur bone. This map shows the density of bones found in this area. It's really incredible. You go closer in and they show some of the shapes of bones. At the back of the visitor center is a sign that leads you to a trailhead and the dinosaur quarry. So we're headed out this way. The first part of the path is paved. There are various loops that you can take, some as short as a half mile, some that veer off outside the main portion of Jurassic National Monument and go up to viewpoints. So when you come into the visitor center and check in with the ranger, he'll show you a map of the trails that you can follow. We're probably going to do one of the shorter ones today because it's going to be getting hot very soon. There's a display in the building of the actual quarry where they have been doing plaster casting of some of the bones. And this shows a detailed map of how they find the positions of the bones, map them all out so that they know where the bones were laying in the original dirt. So the trail that was concrete that we came down goes to these white quarry buildings. And inside the quarry buildings is an actual dig where we saw the plaster casts being created. And across from those buildings is what's called the rock wall, or the rock walk. And so now the trail turns to dirt. So we're going to follow it out this way. The entire trail would be 1.5 miles. Just at the beginning of the rock walk, we find this sign for bone in sandstone. There's an in situ rib bone. From this sign, you take a lower gravel path down, and where that brown wood stake is about the location of the rib bone. Shawn's pointing down there, and you will find that there are painted arrows on the rock that show where the rib bone is in location. This is a Stegosaurus model, and he's a plant eater, which seems likely just if you look at the mouth and snout. So all that armor was probably just to give him protection from predators. This is an overview of the quarry area. There's some paths down that way. And up ahead of us, we have a sign that guides us either back to the quarry building or on the Jurassic journey.
And of course, Corinne and I took the Jurassic journey.
So this round bulbous shape with rock chips coming off of it is a footprint of a sauropod, and adjacent to it, where it's very rippled and uneven, those are evidence of prehistoric clams. So we're along the Jurassic Trail, probably about 1 mile in, and you look back towards where the quarry buildings are, and you can see that everything is pretty barren, devoid of vegetation. That's probably due to the quarrying activity that they did here, because if you look over to the left side, you can see a range of juniper trees there. So that might have been covering this area before they were digging up the bones. Inside the visitor center, I showed you an example of an Allosaurus skeleton. This is what they believe he would have looked like. Well, we just turned off the dirt road and started on the pavement. So Shawn is going to air up our tires again. So we're ready to roll on the main roads. There's a horse out there standing in profile, nice and stationary, just where the grassland changes to like a sand dune. We've returned home from our Utah BDR trip, and it's time to clean up the chariot, make sure it's all free of dust and ready to go for its next adventure.
Well, Corinne's out there spraying off the van, or off the Jeep. We get out, get it dirty, then we wash it. Then we out, get it dirty, and then we wash it again. So now we're getting her all ready for the next trip, which is a pretty big one. It won't happen for a couple more weeks, but we don't like leaving it in the garage dirty, so this is all part of the process. So if you're going to own a Jeep, get used to the idea that you're going to be out there cleaning it off on a regular basis. So Corinne, we're home. We've got the Jeep all washed inside and out. Now, what did you think of our trip?
It was a really good trip, but I could have stopped at a few more sites. It's like you could double back and see a whole new area.
Yeah, you could almost use the same road, but see a completely different set of views and areas, and we missed so much. We almost feel like we have to go back.
Yeah, we could go closer to the San Rafael River and do the Buckhorn Wash.
Yeah, exactly. So we spent 4 days and 3 nights, more or less, on the trail, and as I said, we saw about half of it. So,
and that was just one section, section 4.
And that was just section 4. So we could easily go back and see a lot of other parts of the trail, which we may do sometime. So I think that I'd call it a pretty good trip.
Yep.
It was very dusty, very windy, and there were lots of bugs, but the bugs were about the only really negative thing.
And the local told us the wind is pretty normal.
Yeah, basically expect the wind and expect big temperature variations. So at night it got down into the 40s some nights, and in the daytimes it got up into the little 80s.
Yes.
So big temperature variations. So take layers of clothes. Anyway, I think we should bring this video to an end. If you enjoyed this video, please give us a thumbs up.
And if you'd like to see more of our videos, please go ahead and hit that subscribe button down below. It's no charge to you, no effect to you, and it really helps us out.
And as also, while you're down there, hit that little bell notification button so you'll be notified when we release videos.
If you have questions, comments, thoughts, ideas you want to share with us, we'd love to hear from you.
And until next time, bye for now.
Bye for now.